right. Welcome to Pass the Mic for Friday, June 16th, episode 74. This is a new record, the latest we've ever recorded this. This is 9:17 a.m. on Friday, June 16th. Joining me on Zoom, Mr. Michael Gervasi.
You know, it ain't no stopping all the dogs I'm dropping. It's Friday night, so everything is popping. All right, I'll give you a hint. This one is a little bit tricky. Okay, the first hint is, what movie do you think that's from? The movie the song.
Jeez.
I'll give you two hints at once, and the second hint is O'Shea Jackson.
I have no clue. Neither the move that means nothing to me.
All right, the movie is Friday. You haven't seen it.
I kind of figured that was the movie based upon and I've never seen it.
O'Shea Jackson, no clue there?
No clue. I've never seen the movie. We've been down. Is that a musician?
That's the real name of the rapper Ice Cube.
Oh, so we're back to Ice Cube.
Ice Cube again, yeah.
Okay.
It just had me Friday, you know.
This is the first time we've ever recorded on a Friday. We're in summer mode. I got my Mr. Shoop shirt on. I got a cup of coffee.
Is that so? Would that be classified? Would the shirt be classified as Hawaiian?
I think it's like an Aztec theme.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I don't know. South American, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big fashion guy.
Geographically, you're all over the place. You got the Pirates,
Michigan dad, and still from last night of a family-friendly outing with my dad and at a local establishment having some Father's Day beverages.
Did you just wake up?
No, I've been up for a while, but I just sort of dragged myself to the studio here. So, but no one can smell me; they can see me. Feedback and errors from last week. We did make an error. Speaking of Mr. Shoop, we messed up and I confirmed this because I was watching Summer School this weekend. It popped up on one of my cable channels. The young gentleman that left with the bathroom pass was the highest score. It was not Courtney Thorne Smith, the surfer. We flip-flopped that, and we thought she was the highest score.
Deontay was on us immediately about that, loyal listener from Arizona.
If you watch the movie, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just sort of watched the beginning. The scene when they're all running to their cars in the staff parking lot to avoid having to teach summer school. Because basically the guy that usually teaches it won on a scratch-off, won $50,000 and went and said, I'm out.
Yeah.
And all the teachers are like peeling out. And then that young gentleman that had the bathroom pass blamed it on a computer error. And he grabs Mark Harmon or says to Mark Harmon, there better not be a computer error this time around. And then he just disappears for however many weeks. So we had an error right there. I also, Mr. Max Bailey, he sort of fired a shot at me. The last year I taught summer school, I got to tell the story. There's no FERPA violation. Last year I taught summer school. I only taught for half the summer because I had I was going on a trip to Europe, a school trip with the captain, Mr. Mark Nyholm. You remember him? Yeah. Kind of. So Max was my replacement for when I was off in Europe. And one of his first days back, he has a student comes in, and him and Mr. Quinn, the administrator, were talking, and they're trying to talk, and he keeps trying to interrupt them. And finally they say, what's the problem? What do you we're trying to talk here. And he goes, excuse me, sir, the shitter's on fire. Pardon my language. I know we're family friendly. And there was was an outhouse out in the parking lot of the summer school. It was literally what the young man said. The bathroom was on fire. I totally forgot that as a summer school story. Not under my watch. That was under Max Bailey's watch. But nobody was harmed. Just a porta potty in that incident. So
that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. Did you get any other feedback besides our grading error or summer school error?
Because I did the worst songs 2 weeks ago. I still feel
like Tom Pack did get the eggs and Joe Biden in the picture.
He did
his photo collage with the eggs raining down on Uncle Joe.
Man, he is good at that.
So he did another great collage there. So no, it was a pretty. Other than the one error there, I thought it was a pretty good episode. We got some, good feedback on summer school stuff. Hopefully, to our summer school crew that's working, good luck. I thought I saw that Tom Pack might be doing that at Hunter, doing part of that. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. While you're saying that, I did think of something. So the Irish goodbye theme that you and I discussed.
Oh, yes.
That thing is at every graduation party I've been to thus far, that has been discussed amongst people. And that
really, are more people pro or con?
Pro. And I know you pulled it off recently.
Tuesday, I was a pro. I mean, the only people I said goodbye to were the Scopes and Joe.
You didn't say bye to your fellow host here.
No, I literally snuck out.
Another
But
example.
it was my 25th wedding anniversary, and I needed to get out and get my wife her gift.
I was going to say bye to the pass the mic part, but
because there was but give me credit. There's so many people there that goodbye to you would have then lasted for another half hour. So
I'm just kidding. That's it. But yeah. I like to come back to New Edition. You being Bobby Brown.
I haven't made a TikTok in a while. I got to get to a concession stand.
That makes me Belle Biv DeVoe. So the Irish goodbye thing, yeah, like Ken Sikora brought it up. We were at a graduation party the other day, and honestly, Mike, it's just too much to go all around.
Oh yeah,
you always feel like you're leaving people out, and it takes you a half hour anyway. So yeah, this is the theme now. That I like to think that we restarted, because obviously Irish goodbye means we didn't make that part up. So, but I think we've reignited the conversation.
I think we've given the green light, and no pun intended with the Irish. I think we've given the green light to, use it. Again, I made it perfectly clear. I'll never be offended.
No, absolutely.
If I'm ever a host,
this show, the cultural wisdom of this show is just is off the charts.
Yep. Okay. Exactly. We've given. So Mike of the week, it's my mic, and I'm going to. You came across and showed me a poster that you found that was part of your room redesign, and I'm surprised we haven't used this mic. So I'm going to use this mic so the poster can go up in the studio.
Huge.
It's huge poster. It'll be the biggest picture in the Past the Mic studio. And this was when people say, "Wow, we can't believe we made it all the way to episode 74 with this iconic mic not being on the wall." My mic is a fictitious mic from The Office. It's Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell. I did a little research. I looked it up. He wasn't the original penciled in applicant. There's always names of like who was going to, but there was actually somebody penciled in to take it, because Steve Carell was penciled in to do another show on NBC, and it was, I'm probably going to botch his name. Is it John Odernick, or the guy that plays Better Call Saul?
You got I don't know.
You don't watch Better Call Saul? Okay, so he was on the AMC. Really good. He was a comedic writer out of the Chicago area. He was sort of like penciled in and had went to the audition. He was the presented cast to NBC before the pilot, and then the show Steve Carell was in got canceled and didn't get picked up by NBC, and then the writers, I think, or however it worked, and so Steve Carell got the spot and played it for most of the series. He left a little bit, then he appeared in the finale. We talked about series finales a few whiles back. We didn't talk about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is The Office. Looking back at it now, was back at its prime. Like, everyone talked about it, right? There was jokes, there's memes, there's t-shirts, there's stuff you can buy. I'm trying to think back. It was funny and everything, but also I'm looking back, a little overrated. I think, especially at the end, it went on a little too long. I think, like, in its prime was really good, but I think could fall into that.
Listen, full disclosure. I mean, I've seen the show. I'm not gonna say quite a bit, but I've watched it. I just never caught on. So I would agree with you. But there were so many references made. Mark Nyholm, you mentioned him, and I mentioned I kind of knew him. He would always do these pranks that were just annoying more than anything else. They weren't funny. One time he took all the hole punchers and pulled a rookie Carlson teacher, Kelly Warren, in on the joke. Kelly was 2 days in and thought, why not join the captain? Who wouldn't? And so Kelly and Mark threw these hole punch things all over my room, thinking it was funny. It was so dumb. And I remember Cliff Menser saying it's just like an episode of The Office. Somebody thinks they're funny that nobody else would find amusing.
So you're comparing him to Michael Scott.
I'm gonna a couple things here before we move on. Mark Nyholm. I had one of my biggest blunders as a teacher, because when we first got our phones, and I'm not gonna say what I had the students say in the phone, but we first got our phones. He's pranking me, because he'd go to different rooms and do it, and that was actually kind of funny. Hey, scrubby, and there's all this stupid stuff. So I got my kids to get him where it hurts, and on the count of 3, we chanted something. And again, it's so embarrassing.
Over the phone.
Over the phone. 30 kids.
We'll say that we'll cover that in the episode when we're both retired, probably.
So
nothing that bad. I mean, it was.
It was a dumb thing on my part, but he was so mad he went and told the administrator on me.
Well, you gotta, if you're gonna dish it out, you gotta be able to take it. That's my motto.
absolutely.
So
The other thing, real quick, I got to backpedal for a second. The Mike of the week, loyal listener Antoine, was very upset with me for having a Cowboy last week, Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I thought we said, we're going to use the Penn State one, and I'm not a fan of Penn State either. So I wouldn't know where to go with him. But so I wanted to, I mean, I wouldn't do a Chicago Bull or a Laker or something like that. So maybe Dallas. I don't like Dallas. I wouldn't put them on the Lakers, Celtics, Bulls level or Ohio State or something like that. But I don't like the Cowboys at all. But I don't know. What do you think? Are you allowed to?
I told you I have no problem. I think, and again, I'm as a Steeler fan, I really don't like the Cowboys. They're not my top 5 of being disliked because you would, as a Steeler fan, I wouldn't really have to worry about them until the Super Bowl anyway. I kind of get humor out of them. Like they always seem to never be awful, like 2-15 bad. They sort of give you hope and then they implode. That's like my favorite part about. I'd almost rather have them be that way than be 2-15 because like it's easy to pile on, but because it seems like every year at some point during the NFL season, whether it be Skip Bayless or there are people on TV saying, "Oh, this is the year they're great," then all of a sudden they do some dumb stuff and they implode. And that's I actually get some enjoyment out about that. And I respect the guy; he's a great player. It's sort of like me as a Steeler fan, like with Ray Lewis, or even now like Joe Burrow. Like the guy's like, what am I going to do? The guy's a great quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he sucks. He's a great player. I mean, I don't know. I would love for him to be playing on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not Pat Caputo with Sidney Crosby in his prime, not wanting him on the wings or something like.
Stephen A. Smith had one of his, to me, I know a lot of people don't like him. I find him humorous, a bit much sometimes, but man, when the Cowboys lost that game a couple years ago in the playoffs to the Niners, that was his finest moment, man. He could not.
Oh, yeah. They're easy to ridicule and make fun of. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe people will give Michael Scott a tough time. We want to do our education topic. We're going to sort of make this a yearly thing. I think we did this last year, just sort of talk about it's our first week off. You've been you're much busier than I am now. We're just going to talk about sort of what we have planned for this summer. What are your summer plans, both in the professional work world or relaxing, take it easy world? What do you got going on this summer, Mr. Gervasi?
So, next week, I'm 9 to 9, basically.
Whoa.
With a few hours off in between. So my summer really doesn't, and I've been that way this week. My summer really doesn't start until the following week. So that's kind of the starting point. But Natalia and I are going on this European trip next year. So I really financially am kind of limited as to what I could do. So my very tentative plans, I want to take the girls at some point to Cedar Point. That's one big thing I want to do. I want to, I'm not a fan of camping. In fact, shout out to my good friend Max and my good friend Matt. Camping is a scam, his words. But I do want to take them at least a little bit with Kristen there and spend a day or two doing that. Outside of that, Mike, I really do not have. I again, like I said, you know how the European trip is financially.
Oh yeah,
I'm putting money aside to save for that right now, and that's kind of the big plan this summer. I am Rob Raymond and I are cutting. I've joined his team and cutting grass a couple times a week to make a little extra money. So
there you go. Now, does he have are you on a riding lawnmower? I'd imagine.
No, just two regular conventional lawnmowers.
Oh man, you guys are 212.
Yeah, we did 10 houses yesterday, and then I went we were out from like 9 to 3:30. Then I went and refereed 3 basketball. Did the clock on another one. Man, my ankles right now are killing me, especially the weak one. So yeah, it was quite a day yesterday.
That's a long day, man. I've already said that I should hire Rob's service, but I can't throw my guy that I've been doing under that. I could never do lawns like that. My allergies would be miserable. For me, I went back into work on Wednesday because I couldn't finish stuff on Tuesday that I had to get done because we had a contract proposal we had to do that was much more important. So I wasn't going to stress about it. I left it, went in on my own time Wednesday, finished up whatever I had to finish up, and took care of that. So work stuff is all done. I'm going to just I'm going to read a couple books. I got a new book. It's not my autobiography, The Perfect Father. It's actually about that Chris Watts that killed his family, that guy that acted like he was like a perfect dad, and full true crime. Yeah, so I always like a little true crime over the summer. So I'm
Horrible,
gonna,
obviously. I remember
yeah,
that.
terrible story, but I'm gonna. So reading and writing, as you, I don't know if I mentioned, I don't know, because it would have been last Sunday. I'll violate HIPAA. My son blew out his knee again, and so we're dealing with going to doctors and orthopedic and MRIs and that sort of through. Being like you said, being a parent, there's always a curveball that something sort of ties in. Thankfully, he's okay, but we're probably have to have some surgery down the road. Um, I want to sort of also, I'm sort of in the process of working on and writing some nonfiction. And I've gotten a lot of material over the last 3 months, just sort of about my experiences in education, because I have a goal of finishing this book by the time I'm 50, which is now we're under the last 2 years of my
Ooh,
countdown to that. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on that this summer, and one little family trip planned in there as well to relax and recoup. Did go out, like I said, mentioned last night, went out, had a couple beverages with my dad at a local establishment. Chloe was tending bar, and
sorry,
nice night.
man.
I saw Mr. Dameron there,
Really?
legendary building sub. He's enjoying his summer as well.
I was actually texting him yesterday too. So okay. All
Really?
right.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Saw him. So, but again, just rest, relax. I didn't. Did you finish your goal for next year? Did you do it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm going to work on that too. I want to think of something to put in there. So, I don't have one yet. So don't start it with a joke of like what it is or.
You that's you were able to still get your stuff done? I thought we had to have our goal.
You can postpone your. It just has to be done by the time you start.
You know that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, you could also. Did you know you can just say you didn't accomplish your goal and push it to the next year?
Man, I don't want to do that. That's
I know
and
that's sort of like a trick question. Like,
yeah.
are you in trouble if you didn't accomplish your goal? I was asked that, and I sat there for a minute. I'm like, I did, but boy, it'd be nice to just push it and use it again.
Yeah. So you have
So
no idea. So maybe that the listener can help you with your
come up
goal.
with a goal for me in the
Yeah.
library next year. Yeah,
Hmm.
sure. If you have suggestions, go ahead and send it. We'll be happy to. I want to get back on my walking routine, which I sort of let slip a little bit as my schedule filled up a lot in the spring. And I'm 2 for 2. I didn't go yet today. I'm probably gonna go later with Ella. I usually like to go like 6:30 in the morning. I've gone very early the last 2 mornings. And then I do have a goal. Last year I was very antisocial. I didn't really go out much. I stayed inside just out of pure wanting to. And I think I'm gonna change that a little bit. A little
Opening up to
maybe,
the world a little bit.
yeah, just going out and being a little more social, I guess.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
it. So that's it. We wish everyone a great summer. We hope you, our fellow coworkers that are off, that you can find some things to enjoy and do. I know there's lots of people with trips planned and that sort of thing. People working. I know Dr. Rice and his crew and Scope and Miss Fournier are doing summer school again. I don't know if that starts up next week.
I don't know. It's a good question. Speaking of
Yeah.
Dr. Rice, maybe Nate can talk to Dr. Rice about his feelings about these injuries, and Dr. Rice can offer some
Oh,
psychology.
oh,
Because
I
who
thought you
better to
meant
go
like
to
Dr.
than Dr.
I thought you meant Dr. Rice could operate on the knee,
No, no,
doctor, but
no. Who better to
I
go to
wouldn't.
than Dr. Rice? So when you're feeling down, is there anybody
Okay.
better than Dr.
So
Rice?
don't have him with a scalpel.
It's a good idea. No.
Okay, all right. Good. I'll see what he wants to do there. So overrated, underrated. Keep it going with the summer theme. I was thinking about it because I'm one of my trip. Well, actually, the doctor, the orthopedic, was talking to Nate, and he's like, this knee's stable. We should stay away from basketball for a little bit. Running's fine. Uh, he's like, do you swim? Or do you plan on swimming at all? And he's like, and at first he said no, but then my wife's like, hey, we're going to a resort and he's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, no jumping into pools, no beach volleyball either. Nothing that puts sort of hard stress on the knee. And so I thought overrated, underrated swimming. It's that time of year, right? Pools are opening up. We don't have the wave pool down here anymore, but backyard pools. People go on trips, camping. People might be going to a lake. So it's just a wide open topic. Overrated, underrated swimming. As a former swimmer, competitive swimmer myself, I might have some interesting feedback on this. What is your overrated aspect of swimming?
So this came to me when I was okay. Are you familiar with Bud Bash?
Bud Bash.
Like Houghton Lake. Ernie Price used to talk about it a lot.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
It's a big party. I believe it's Houghton Lake. It's up that way, and so I was there one year, and it was a good time. I mean, there's a couple bars there that really fill up. It's a fun time, and it's kind of a weekend party. And The next day, so Saturday, everybody's in the lake, and I'm talking like it's just elbow.
Mass of humanity.
Yeah, right. And I just could not have. There was enough beverages out there that would make me forget something, and I was the only one. There's people I'm like I started noticing nobody's leaving, but everybody's drinking. They're just peeing in the lake. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I asked some of my friends, I'm like, what do you, are you guys okay with this? And yeah, you just kind of forget it once you start drinking. And man, I can't, that aspect, lake swimming, you don't know, generally, you don't know what's down there, right? And I know it looked like a fun party, but there is no amount of alcohol out there in the world that would make me forget that I'm swimming in other people's urine. So that lake swimming to me is overrated for that reason. Just the
Uh, I listen, I totally get it. And I got two folds on mine. The smaller overrated factor is that anytime swimming is involved in your day, that is not, that now becomes a multiple shower day, right? Like more than likely.
yeah,
And I'm not a big multiple shower guy. Now, there are days where I have to take multiple shower because I do like a lot of work around the house.
sure.
I'm normally a morning shower person during the work year and a night shower person on weekends and in summer because I want to be clean when I go to bed.
You shifted during the week, even like
Oh
or
yeah.
wow.
No, I'm usually for the most part I'm in the morning throughout the school year, but sometimes just depends. And those are usually 2 shower days. Like if I feel just dirty. But the
Quite a
point is,
shift.
if
Yeah.
you involve swimming, you are now on a multiple shower day, and that just annoys me. I especially if you're doing lake or ocean, right? Like it's a waste. It's now wasting my time. But I'm right with you. Like lake or ocean swimming, I'm a big no on it. Not even because of the pee, just because of for me, like people are always like, I'm not afraid of sharks. Like sharks aren't my thing, but like jellyfish, like that's my big thing. Like I can't, like those are more realistic of getting or some other weird thing getting attacked by. But also, someone pointed this out one time too. Anytime you swim in the ocean, you're swimming with dead bodies. There are people out there that are
Yeah.
on boats, right? Like it's there.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. There's and like we were
Oh,
going
I
on
never
this.
thought of that, but geez, oh
Yeah,
Pete.
someone. Yeah, not only pee but that but and then like someone and someone like we're going on this trip to Mexico and like the beach doesn't get the best reviews, the ocean area doesn't get the best reviews, but the pools are outstanding. I'm like, perfect, fine,
Yeah.
that's that's all I need to hear. I don't, you know is what it is. So definitely I'm right with you, but to me I'm going to throw in the shower aspect as well, that now because of doing this activity I'm going to have to multiple shower. What is your underrated?
So, I just thinking back on my childhood, I'm not a big swimmer now. But I remember, the house down the block, the Ryans, don't think they listen, but they were the ones with the pool, and then my next door neighbor got one. I had a pool until recently in my in my life, and it becomes a neighborhood hub. Like everybody goes over there, and you can always invite people. It's always something to do. It's always a very good fallback if the kids don't have anything to do. Oh, come on over, come swimming. So I'm going to say the underrated aspect is just the fact that the pool becomes a neighborhood hub, brings all the kids in, and it's a pretty neat. If you are willing to allow all these people, because I know some people don't like the in and out that kids inevitably bring
Oh
with
yeah.
them, and
Is that still a thing? Because your daughters, when they're at their moms, they have a pool, right?
correct. Yes. Yes.
Is that still a thing
Yes.
for kids? Because we don't have one. My parents did when I grew up. It was like we in like sport team parties, all sorts of things. It's sad now because my parents' pool doesn't really get used as much as it
I
used
could
to.
see your parents being those people too that were,
Oh yeah, we'd
especially
get like pizzas and that sort of
not
thing. And
you
you're
though.
right.
I can't see you being the
Nope. Pools and boats. You want friends that have both. You,
yeah, yeah.
you don't want to have one. That's for sure. All right, my underrated to me, and I'm going almost back to this trip. To me, it's the ultimate lazy summer day drinking, relaxing scene. Sitting around a pool. Don't even have to be in there necessarily swimming. Just water's music's on. If you do get a little hot from sitting out in the sun, you can hop in for a second, hop back out. So a nice, organized, non-chaotic scene like that you're talking about. But like I said, a nice resort pool that has maybe even has like a bartender walking around, bringing you a beverage, some music going on. Hop in to cool off, hop out to get
Yeah,
back
that was
in.
I was talking to Kristen about it. That was her underrated as well. Just
Yeah, like to me, I'm never more relaxed than right there. And again, if there's and they're usually big enough that if some kids want to play and have a blast, they can. You're just watching them. They're not. It's when it's nicely done and it's not too small and the vibe is right. I think it's the ultimate relaxation, more so than like camping around it's like to me like some people say, oh, what about sitting around a fire? No, because I'm getting smoke. I'm getting bit by like pool summer relaxing is the ultimate.
Okay,
And
question for you. Are you the parent that yells at your kids if they're running around the pool? Because
well, my kids are
they're older now, but when they were younger.
that used to be, yeah, because my parents did it to me too. That was like a big thing. And I've seen, joking around, like we joked around about way back in an episode about
Oh,
your
don't
shoelace
do
being
it. Don't
untied,
do it.
right? Like your shoelace being untied. We always say like,
Yes,
I've
that's what I
seen,
was thinking.
I've seen, okay, I've seen more accidents with people running around a pool than I have with people with shoes untied. And for some reason, I think that warning is a little more deserving. I've seen it happen.
Okay, all right.
It's wet, concrete. It's usually a bad result too. Now, not to me personally, but I've seen it more so than a kid with a shoelace.
All right, you're the old guy. I understand.
All right.
Okay.
All right. What do you got for your hot mic take this week?
All right. So I know you're not a fan of comedians, so this one might fall. Although I'm sure you know these people. Uh, I'm just curious. I want to hear from the listener. So forever, to me, Eddie Murphy was the standard. And he didn't do a ton of stand up, but he like Eddie Murphy Delirious all the way back from 1983. I think it's still funny today, although he certainly would get canceled for some of the stuff that he said. But Eddie Murphy was the gold standard. There were a few others here and there that I thought, I think George Carlin's really funny. Chris Rock, I think, is really, really funny. In a little bit more in a different way than Eddie Murphy. They kind of touched upon different subjects. But I have come across, and not come across, I knew who he was before, but just poking around on YouTube a little bit. I have a new funniest comedian, and I want to hear from the listener on this one. Bill Burr. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. He's a Bostonian. He doesn't like the Pistons. I gotta overlook that part of it. He's a big Celtic guy. Hey, Bill Burr to me has taken on my funniest comedian mantle. I think he is so funny. I can watch him constantly. His delivery, the way he says things, even when he says stuff that makes it is a little cringeworthy. I think he is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to me, my funniest comedian is Bill Burr now, and I want to hear from the listener who they think. The Ren Dog, I'm sure, will jump in on this one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hear from the listener and the Ren Dog because you know me and comedians. I mean, there's that one that we talked about. What's his name? Brett Terhune or whatever. We were that's on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'm not even like I'm not.
Go see him.
I did, but I'm also like not living or dying. Oh, that would have been last night, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I just find other forms of entertainment more entertaining to me. I guess that's just what it is. Maybe I have enough humor in my life that I don't need to pay somebody to crack jokes for me. I don't. I maybe I find because I find a kid running around the pool slipping and falling funny. I don't need to go pay for a comedian to go.
Okay.
So, see, I'm not knocking. I'm sure this guy is pretty funny. But again, people tell me all the time. Angelica Heath told me about this one Italian American comedian that's supposed to be really funny, and it's a lot of Italian American based jokes. And I'm like, I mean, how many jokes about marinara sauce can one person make? It's just me, but that's me. No offense. Bocce ball, yeah, that sort of thing. So,
we can go on.
we'd love to hear the listeners. I'm sure again the Ren Dog will be all over it. My hot mic, I have my notebook here. I got two different things on. I guess I'm just gonna go with. We went out to our anniversary was Tuesday the 13th, but my wife worked a long shift, so we didn't really. People were like, oh, did you go out to eat? Did you go out to eat? I know the shocker. This will be about food. And we didn't because it was a late night. So, but we did go out to eat Wednesday. She wanted to go out to eat. We met at Big Bear Lodge up on Telegraph in Brownstown. You familiar with it?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Good food, very good food.
Good food. Nice, pretty cool decor. And it's been there for a while. So the people, I was just amazed going there, eating there. And then on my drive home, because I drove home through Flat Rock and drove by the Rock and Wise Guys there. So this was just a random Wednesday, 6 o'clock. The crowds, Mike, like the amount of people out. And again, I keep hearing that, times are tough, and they are. Believe me, I'm not sitting there saying I'm Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. And times are tough. I mean, that dinner was expensive, and but it was our anniversary. But like, I'm like, I just feel like people are eating, and I saw somebody on Downriver and Friends. Well, we go back to posting about it too, which made me think like, who are all these people that are out and eating on a Wednesday? They posted. I'm like, well, and like all these people bashed them. Well, accordingly, so like, who cares? Like, I mean, that's good for, if people are eating at these places, especially mom and pop places, that's
Right.
good. I know my buddy Scotto up at Buffalo Wild Wings in Woodhaven, they just totally redid it. So we're talking about a chain place, totally redone, had his grand reopening that Wednesday as well. I don't know if COVID, that little 3/4 of a year of, or maybe I don't remember how long things were totally shut, maybe about, half a year, if it just made people realize like, hey man, it was actually nice to be able to go to these places. And
Sure, sure.
because, and prices are starting to trickle down a little bit, and I think places have deals and that sort of thing. I have no problem with it. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just wondering if you've noticed, like being out and about, that places just seem to be very crowded,
Absolutely.
even at odd times of day and days of the week. We're used to Friday and Saturday nights, maybe a Sunday brunch, but like like that Big Bear Lodge, as we were leaving on Wednesday afternoon at 5:36, was pretty crowded.
I went yesterday with Rob Raymond to a place you are not a fan of in the middle of the day, Big Boy,
Oh
for our
Lord.
lunch
Yeah.
break. Yeah, and it was pretty crowded, and this was probably 11:30.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, and that's the lunch crowd, but it was more crowded than I actually expected.
I was talking, Chloe and I were driving back from the dinner, and I was being the boring dad and giving her like a history. And I told her like how when we built our house in '02, and there obviously were less restaurants around, but between then and like '06, '07, '08, you went to places on a Friday or Saturday, there'd be a wait, right?
Yeah.
Like there'd be, so then all of a sudden '08 and '09 happened, and
Mm,
everything went bad, and you could go
crazy, isn't it?
anywhere.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere at any time and never have to wait. Like you could tell that people were hurting, like there were.
Right.
And now I'm almost getting back to that phase of, I'm sure like on Fridays and Saturdays, because I just don't go out to eat that often on Fridays and Saturdays because I just try to avoid it, that I bet we're back to those like long waits and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
think you're right.
so,
I think you're
so
right.
that's a good thing. I mean, I'm not, this is not me complaining. I think it's good. I think it's good for mom and pop places. I think it's good. And heck, I mean, I cooked dinner last night. I'd rather go out to eat than cook and have to clean up. So just like to hear what people think, maybe drop some, great mom and pop places they like to go. Like
Very
I said,
good.
our stuff at Beer Haven was delicious after graduation, I thought.
Beer Haven, Beer Keller, same owners, and
They have Big Al's now too, way down here on
that's
the
true.
south
They
end.
do. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so the Denver Nuggets, NBA champions, as we like easily predicted. I don't think anyone had a problem with that. Is there any other sports takes that you have? Some rumors that the Hard Knocks is having a hard time finding a team, and that there's a rumor that they're going back and trying to ask the Lions to be back to
How
back.
cool would that be? The Super Bowl season, and they're going to come to here. So listen, the NBA draft is Thursday, and this is like, man, this is my favorite day. Except this year, I'm going to be working the clock. So I think if I can slide this by Mr. Raymond, because the clock in the summer league is a lot different. I'm setting the phone right next to me, and I'm watching the draft.
I'm sure you can pull it off for summer league.
I am so excited, Mike. This is new coach, and I just love draft day. I love watching. A lot of people, it's the NFL draft. To me, it's the NBA, and I like the NFL draft too. Don't get me wrong, but NBA draft is my favorite day.
Do you think the Pistons will be able to get an impact player there?
Probably not. But like I said, they, as bad as they were last year, and they did not want to win. That was when Cade went down. It was clear at that point. So no, I mean, I think they're going to get a guy. I think they have a backcourt look going forward, and I think they have a front court player, Duran, that's really good. So I think they're going to get a nice complimentary piece. They have a lot of money to spend. They might be able to pull off some trades this summer. Troy Weaver, the GM, as much criticism as I give him, he really does well on draft day, and so I'm hoping this happens again. And I fingers crossed. I think they've turned the corner. I'm not predicting NBA Finals or anything next year, but I do think that I think they'll be in making a push for the playoffs at least. So that's I said it last year, but this time I mean it.
All right. And for Kent Sikora and Max Bailey, we'll talk a little baseball. The Tigers have fallen back to beyond earth. They are awful again. And the Pirates, I went and checked. They're having a tough time with the Cubs right now, but they're still one game over 500, and it's June 16th. That is unbelievable. They'll probably implode and be 30 games under 500 by September, but they at least did not embarrass themselves. I mean, the whole NL Central and AL Central is pretty much embarrassing.
Right.
It's like the whole Central area of baseball. But we will say I'm not again. I have not watched a full baseball game all year, Pirates or Tigers. But everything I'm hearing is the rule changes. Most people are on board with. They like this.
Yeah. And I've watched more than you, I think, with the Tigers. It is as bad as they are, it is a much easier thing to watch this year than it has been in the past. With them, as bad as they are, when they're good, I used to trudge through those 3.5 hour, 4 hour games, but it's a lot better to watch now, even as bad as they are.
I guess we're just sitting here keeping our head above water after the draft and waiting for college football and the NFL to return, because it's not going to be as Bananarama said, it's going to be a cruel summer for baseball fans around here. So you got a very busy week next week. As we said, we might have to record Sunday already here for next week. We're going to try to, like I said, get some episodes lined up with some recent retirees, some summer stuff. I might be gone for a week. Maybe we have to do an international episode again if I get good Wi-Fi down in Mexico from the pool. Maybe I'll do it from the pool side.
Perfect.
But all right, everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week, we think.